everyone, happy Friday. I am so happy to be here with you today for Stories with Andi. Today I'm coming to you from the Down Syndrome Association of Greater St. Louis office. I'm in my office today. Super fun to be here. I have some really fun Halloween books for you today. Also have something really exciting. It is October, and October is Down Syndrome Awareness Month, and I'm so excited. So happy DSA Awareness Month, so exciting. So I have a book today about Down syndrome. So we're gonna start with that one so we can celebrate. This one is a really simple little book. It's kind of fun, and it's called I Can You? Wait till you see these beautiful faces in here. I can play patty cake. Can you? I can play with blocks. Can you? I can feed myself. I can take a bath. Can you? I can go down a slide. Can you? I can swim. Can you? I can draw. Can you? I can find my feet. Can you? I can learn sign language. Can you? I can play by myself. Can you? I can share. Can you? I can smile. Can you? I can play ball. Can you? I can discover my world. Can you? It's so fun to see all the amazing things people with Down syndrome can do. Makes me really proud to have so many friends that can do so many awesome things. All right, our next book is called The Biggest Pumpkin Ever. And this one is by Stephen Kroll. Once there were two mice that fell in love with the same pumpkin. Clayton, the house mouse, noticed it one day in the vegetable garden. It was still little and green, but Clayton thought he could make it grow real big. It might even get big enough to win the grand prize at the town pumpkin contest. Desmond, the field mouse, discovered the pumpkin the same day. He thought that if he helped it grow, it could become the biggest jack-o'-lantern in the neighborhood. That afternoon, Clayton watered the pumpkin. He also mixed up some fertilizer of manure and water. And he spread the mixture around the pumpkin to make it grow larger. Yes. The very same night, Desmond went into the garden. He watered the pumpkin too. He also spread some manure mixed with water around it. The next day, Clayton watered the pumpkin again. The next night, Desmond did the same. And the pumpkin began to grow. Okay. By the end of a month, the pumpkin was so large, Clayton couldn't believe his eyes. My goodness, said Clayton's mother, and it's not even full grown. Clayton shrugged. All I do is water it. Clayton's mother whispered in his ear, if you want the pumpkin to grow bigger and faster, you should use some sugar water. That night, Desmond brought his brother, Morris, to see the pumpkin. Morris knew everything there was to know about growing things. That's some pumpkin, he said. Desmond shrugged. All I do is water it. Morris whispered in his ear, you should try using some sugar water. The next day, Clayton dug a hole beside the pumpkin vine. In the hole, he placed a bowl full of sugar water. And he cut the vine a few inches from the pumpkin, and he put one end of a piece of candlewick. Then he put the other end in the bowl of sugar water. That night on the other side of the pumpkin, Desmond did the exact same thing. Within a week, the pumpkin was twice the size it had been. Within 2 weeks, it was absolutely enormous. Clayton was amazed. He ran down the road and peeked into his friend Jimmy's pumpkin patch. The pumpkin Jimmy was growing for the contest looked much smaller. Clayton scratched his head. I have an amazing pumpkin, and I think I'm going to win the contest. That night, Desmond and his brother Morris spent a long time looking at the pumpkin. How do you think it got that big? Desmond asked. Morris shrugged. A little luck and a little skill. It's going to make some jack-o'-lanterns, said Desmond. Sure is, said Morris. A week later, Clayton noticed the pumpkin was bigger than the family car. During the day, everyone he knew came to admire it. And at night, all the field mice gathered around to do the same. By now, summer was almost over. In a week, the pumpkin would be full grown and start turning yellowish and then orange. A few weeks after that, it would be ripe and ready for the pumpkin contest. Clayton could hardly wait. The pumpkin was growing so fast. It would soon be larger than his house. Then he had a terrible thought. What if the pumpkin is so big that I can't get it to the contest? It wouldn't fit in his red wagon. It wouldn't even fit in the truck. Clayton decided to worry about it later. Look how big it is. That night, the weather grew colder. Thinking there might be an early frost, Clayton rushed out to the pumpkin with his blanket. One was not enough. Soon he was rushing back and forth, carrying all the blankets from the house. As he worked, he hummed a little song, and as he hummed, he heard someone else singing. He also began to realize that someone else was covering the pumpkin with blankets. Desmond, too, had seen the danger of an early frost. He, too, had brought blankets for the pumpkin. And as he worked, he sang a little song. And as he sang, he began to realize that someone else was working and humming. Clayton stopped humming. He put down his pile of blankets and peered around the corner of the pumpkin. Desmond stopped singing. He put down his blankets and peered around the corner of the pumpkin. The two of them bumped heads and fell down. You've been feeding the pumpkin, said Clayton. You've been feeding the pumpkin, said Desmond. That's why it got so big, said Clayton. That's why it got so big, said Desmond, and they burst out laughing. When everything had been explained, Clayton said, I know I'll win the contest if I can just get the pumpkin to town. Desmond smiled. I'll help you. Just let me carve the pumpkin in a jack-o'-lantern for Halloween when the contest is over. It's a deal, said Clayton. A deal, said Desmond, and they shook on it. The morning of the contest was bright and sunny. Mice were bringing their pumpkins to the town square by truck and car and wagon. Some of them were rolling them on the ground. Suddenly, they all stopped short. Over the fields came the biggest pumpkin anyone had ever seen. It was being pulled by 100 field mice on motorcycles. Look at them. When the pumpkin reached the town, it was so big for any of the streets. Clayton had to explain why they couldn't bring it into the square. The mayor understood at once. He led the crowd to the giant pumpkin and pinned the first prize ribbon on its side. Everyone danced around it. Who would have believed this? Said Clayton as he danced. Who would have believed this? Said Desmond at the same moment. Get the ribbon. In first place. When the celebration was over, the 100 field mice pulled the pumpkin back to the field the day before Halloween, and they carved it into the best jack-o'-lantern ever. And on Halloween night, its wonderful, smiling face could be seen glowing from miles around. That's a good story, isn't it? All right, next story is a homemade book that I made a long time ago called 5 Little Pumpkins. You can help me read this one by using your fingers to help me count. Here we go, 5 Little Pumpkins. Ooh, this is an old book. 5 little pumpkins sitting on a gate. The first one said, "Oh my, it's getting late." The second one said, "There are witches in the air." And the third one said, "But we don't care." The fourth one said, "Let's run and run and run." And the fifth one said, "I'm ready for some fun." Here comes the really fun part. You can help me. Woo went the wind and out went the light, and the 5 little pumpkins rolled out of sight. Let's do that part together. It goes like this. Woo went the wind and out went the light, and the 5 little pumpkins rolled out of sight. That is fun. All right. Our next book is kind of a spooky story. Scary, Scary Halloween. This is a good one. You're gonna like this one. I peer outside. There's something there that makes me shiver and spikes my hair. It must be Halloween. A skeleton with bones so white they gleam and glimmer in the night has come for Halloween. A ghost goes trailing, drifting by, with sunken mouth and sunken eye. Ghosts rise on Halloween. Little ones, stay safe inside. It's best to stay home and hide on Halloween. A vampire and a werewolf prowl. One growls a growl and howls a howl in praise of Halloween. 2 witches, grinning witchy grins, have pointy hats and pointy chins. They're here for Halloween. Cover eye and cover ear. Nightmares walk the streets of fear on dreaded Halloween. Look at these guys. These are so funny. Goblins, gremlins, skip and leap. They never rest, they never sleep. They're glad it's Halloween. A devil prances fiery red with horns sprouting from his head. He knows it's Halloween. Thunder, thunder up above. What is it, mother? Shh, my love. It's just the thump of creature feet, a creature in the winding sheet. His claws are dragging on the floor. He's crashing, smashing at the door. Will he find us here below? Shh, my love, I cannot know. Do you see him begin? Trick or treat, it's Halloween! Am I the scariest thing you've seen? Tonight on Halloween? Look at the mummy. He's trick-or-treating. It's a little kid in there. He didn't see us. He didn't care. We weren't the ones he came to scare. Tonight on Halloween. See? Look, they're still under the porch. It's quiet now. The monster's gone. The streets are ours until the dawn. We're out, we prowlers of the night, who snap and snarl and claw and bite. Look, kitties! Kittens. We stalk the shadows, dark, unseen. Goodbye till next year, Halloween. That's kind of a spooky book, isn't it? But then you find out it's not scary at all at the end. That's the kind of book I like, when you find out it's not really scary. Well, friends, thank you today so much for joining me for Storytime. I hope you liked our Halloween books and our Down syndrome book, all to celebrate Down Syndrome Awareness Month. So I want to celebrate you every day this month. Well, friends, I hope you have a fantastic rest of your week, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.